To Me Dark presents Scary Movie Madness, episode 22.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap. It's spring.
It is spring, finally.
We hate spring
can't
because...
breathe.
Yeah, we can't breathe. The allergies. Just
I hate it.
What
I sat outside for 30 fucking minutes.
It was beautiful today.
Yeah, but I need some Allegra or some shit.
My goodness, yeah. Well, what was it you were saying? There's like the different phases of spring. One of them is the pollinating. The pollinating was my favorite.
I forget, maybe we'll have it and we'll show an image of it, but it's like how we don't have 4 seasons, we have like 9.
Oh, yeah. That's what it was.
Especially in New York, because there's this break of like, hey, it's February or March, but it's 70 degrees.
Yep.
And everyone in New York City feels like, hey, it's sandal day.
Yep.
And it's like, no. Like, there's probably going to be a blizzard in 2 days. So, like, keep your summer clothes in the closet.
Yep.
But that's definitely a new season for us. And then the pollinating is what we are currently in right now.
Fucking sucks.
It sucks. My eyes are watering.
Yeah.
I'm going to sniffle the whole time.
I had a bad watery eye day last week. It was just nonstop. I was just leaking.
It's so annoying.
We are officially 1 year into this pandemic, though.
Ugh, I thought you were gonna say the podcast, and I'm like, no, we're not.
No.
Didn't we start this shit in like October?
We're 1 year in, which sort of inspired the 2 movies that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, you found one, and I was like, well, there's a theme for you.
Right.
Anniversary of the quarantining.
Just a quick call to action for those of you who haven't already. Please subscribe if you watch us on YouTube and you're not subscribed. If you're listening on an audio platform and you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe. Review if you can. Reviews really help. And drop us a like on YouTube.
Yeah, or Instagram comments.
Instagram's a fun place to follow us because when we play games, which we'll play a 50-50. We played 50-50 last time. We're playing head-to-head this time.
Yeah.
People will be able to vote on there. You'll be able to play along. So
yeah, it's funny. The 50-50 that I posted, there was like one of them that almost got people.
Oh, yeah?
I forgot which one it was now. Shit. But on our Instagram profile, we do have little stories. So like if you go to the profile, you could see all the 50-50s we did and how the results ended up. Our head-to-heads, currently the victor.
You're up by 1, right?
I'm up by 1.
I get first pick today, though.
I know. Whatever. This whole way of this.
We alternate.
The way this works. There's no real benefit to winning, though, aside from bragging rights. That's the problem. Anyway, so that's all listed on that profile. But yeah, drop us comments. You like what we're doing? You want to hear us talk about a specific movie or specific theme? You know, we're open.
Yeah, I would love to take some movie requests because a lot of times I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's a million horror movies.
There's
Which one do we pick?
So many. We've watched so many.
Speaking of, getting really nothing in return other than the pleasure of winning, I have
what a fucking segue.
Yeah, I have given a little bit of a deep dive into these NFTs. Have you heard of NFTs?
No, I just heard you listening to it though.
So apparently this thing is going around now where it's like, obviously you're aware of cryptocurrency, but now there's this digital marketplace that has opened up for digital artists, right? Okay. So traditionally we have painters, right, who would paint a piece and it's a one-of-one original piece. If you become a huge artist, these paintings, we've seen paintings worth millions of dollars.
Yep.
This has now translated over to the digital world. Well, we're digital artists creating a digital file, which, as you and I know, is just easily replicatable, right?
Yeah, you copy paste.
They are selling digital artworks, selling ownership of digital artworks. Okay. And my first reaction is how? Yeah. Because if something can just be made into a JPEG and I can just view it on Instagram or I can view it on a website, what is the fucking point of buying that piece of digital art for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars?
Right.
And essentially that is what is happening. People are buying art, right, from these artists. Some of them are limited edition runs. Some of them are a one-of-one. And what the artist does is they mint their artwork. Sometimes you get like this little display package with it and stuff that's kind of high-end and cool.
Something to incentivize and feel like you got something.
Right.
Something, I'm saying, like a physical thing.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not like you're not buying the copyright of the art, right? That still resides with the artist. You're just buying the right of ownership. So,
right, it's like owning a painting. Like you didn't do it. it's not yours.
Right.
Like, it's not your work, I should say. It's your
Yeah.
item to own.
And it's blowing my mind because literally every other medium that has translated over to the digital space has been devalued, right? Music. When music became digitized, it became less valuable.
It's cheaper. I mean, you think about a CD cost you like $14. Now you go on iTunes, it's like, buy this album for $6.99.
Yep.
Half the price. Because
and it's
now
sort
you
of
don't have to
interesting.
make a hard copy of something.
Right. But it's interesting in the music business when you have a hard copy like a vinyl, right? Like vinyl is coming back. That's still the practical hard copy version is what the most expensive format is for that medium.
Yeah, because now you're talking about art and music to get like physical art because music is art, obviously.
Yeah.
But you're talking about physical art combined with the music because there's all of the work that goes into the album booklet, the cover, doing all that, creating the packaging.
Yep.
And then you have the actual music on whatever it is you're buying, a record or a CD or whatever. And so now that's all just like, here's a digital version of it. I feel like people even get lax.
Yeah.
Because like you don't even get the digital booklets always now when you download that.
You do. You get less. Yeah. Well,
I hate that.
You are spending less money technically on the digital.
It's bullshit. Just make it still $14.99 and give me the fucking digital booklet. All right, I went on a tangent now because now I'm annoyed by it. But.
Well, this is what I mean is like now you flip it on its head and now you're talking about paintings like digital art.
Yeah.
Right. And for some reason doesn't lose any value in this space. In fact, it's completely part of this cryptocurrency web. And now these NFTs are becoming so popular and so lucrative for artists. Like some artists that I've followed on YouTube and on Instagram for a long time who were just like these humble artists, like made $3 million in a weekend, right? This guy who's just an artist, and what he would do is he would just make a piece of digital art every day. And then he would have clients on the side to just like have income. There's so many people like this. And now, I mean, super happy for these people, right? Because now, they have this outlet to make money off of things that they create that are passion projects, things that they really care about as opposed to just client work. But at the same time, I'm like, how the hell is there a market for this? And it's spilled out into now people are buying digital plots of land.
I think it's the reason there's a market for it is because there's enough people in this world who want to be ahead of the curve. Right? So even if this does nothing.
It's early. You want to get in.
Even if it does nothing, now you not only have it, but if it falls apart, you're one of the only people to have taken advantage of it.
Well, not only that is people see it as an investment opportunity, right?
That's what I mean.
If now this thing continues to snowball and get bigger and bigger, that means these works of art, especially the early ones that sell for, if you might have bought something for $100,000, in 10 years from now, it might be worth $10 million.
Yeah, that's my point. It's win-win right now.
Crazy.
Because if it blows up, then you are one of the first people to own it, right? And you have one of the very original from the early stages that will drive the value. If it doesn't take off, now you're one of the only people who have this thing that didn't.
Well, not really,
blow
because now everybody at that point, if it doesn't take off, then so the only reason why Bitcoin works or any of this crypto stuff works is because everybody agrees that it has value.
Yeah.
The second that people no longer agree and the market dries up, none of that stuff has value. So you could it's high risk, high reward. It's like buying a Bitcoin, right? You can buy a Bitcoin for X amount of dollars, but it's like the stock market. It can go down, it can crash completely, and you lose all your money.
I get that, but I'm saying like you're also buying a nostalgia piece, a moment in time where something was happening,
right.
And it's still art at the core. It's still an artist's work. So even if that artist blows up and does a different medium, you have this unique thing that was sold by this artist.
Yeah.
And it's now rare.
As long as the market stays or grows, right? Yeah, then you have a rare but it's digital, which is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you guys crushed my birthday, right? You and my family.
Top secret.
We had talked about this movie, The Babadook, on the podcast, and we had mentioned that
if they ended it as like, I wonder if you can get the actual fucking book. Boom, you can.
You can buy this book.
I did some research on it. I originally thought it was only like a couple hundred, but I think it's a couple thousand. Still, in the grand scheme of things,
so they're limited
pretty
edition.
Fucking legit.
Yeah.
There was a first edition when the movie came out, and then I think like I think it was like 2018. They did it again, so we missed it twice. But I happened to find this mint condition, still in the box, unused, and it's pretty fucking incredible.
It's pretty legit. I was completely blown away by this, honestly. And
it kind of makes me want to have a kid just so I can scare the shit out of them.
Yeah,
with this.
I mean, it's not your typical bedtime story, but it does still feel like a children's pop-up book, which is what I absolutely love about it. And
the simplistic writing, they don't go overboard.
But see, to me, like, I don't know. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, maybe I'm just old school, but it's like, why would you buy a fucking NFT, like digital JPEG, when you can buy shit like this? Like, I don't understand. But again, to each their own.
Yeah.
But I just thought this was so cool that I had to show it off on the podcast.
It's so good. I mean, look at that. No, I mean, this is crazy. This one.
That's absolutely insane.
But it gets crazier, so hold on. We got to keep flipping through this. If y'all never seen this before.
This is good for people who are just listening. They can't actually see it.
I know, sorry, but you'll have to fast forward like another minute. So these are my favorite ones where they get like super active. So like this opens up and you see her like strangling the dog. Then you see the kid. It's kind of fucking dark. Maybe it's better that you're not watching. But then this one with the little knife. So when you open it, you could see her like actually pull it. Fun fact here. Pretty sure in the movie at this point that actually was an up and down knife in the movie.
So, well, this was the second edition you said?
Way.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, she does slit her throat.
No, I'm saying the book, if I remember correctly, the knife is a different position.
I'm not sure.
In the movie. But anyway, so legit. It's very mint condition. It's
very,
perfect.
very cool. Yeah.
And it will be with Chucky, his bedtime story.
Yeah, we have the life-size Chucky doll in the back. We're waiting for Tiffany to get here so he's not lonely.
Yeah, and then we'll maybe show them a little bit more boldly on camera.
So we're going to be talking about 2 horror movies here that deal with viruses, right? Because why not? We're a year into the pandemic, and it's like, Jesus, like it feels horrific in and of itself, like we're in a horror movie, because every day that goes by and there's just more and more like world melting shit going on. But this is like, these 2 movies are like if a virus was like made you violent.
Yeah.
Right? And murderous.
I mean, pretty like zero fucks violent, like different level.
Yeah. So this first one, The Crazies from 2010. This is directed by Beck Eisner. He did that cheesy movie Sahara with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh my God, awful.
And that's kind of it. It was like that in this movie. And then
Speaking of crazies, Matthew McConaughey.
True. Although I'm a fan of his. So I like his work. I don't know him really personally. He seems a little wonky.
Didn't he just write this book that's like super bizarre?
I'm sure he did. I don't know who buys these celebrity memoir books, but whatever.
I bought them.
All right. Well, then there you go. There's the market there.
Wow. Way to be an asshole about it.
Sorry. Oh. So this is a remake of a film by George A. Romero, right? From 1973. And the setting is we're in like, we're not on a secluded goat farm this time, but we're in like
secluded goat farm in Texas.
Yeah, we're in like, it's basically like one of those quiet like small town farming.
This is like isolated town. Like we're talking the sheriff.
Yeah,
is married to the town doctor.
Right.
Like that kind of scenario of like, well, the 2 most successful people in the town are together. Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, they their whole world is flipped upside down when this military plane crashes and spills like some toxic man-made virus. Like it was like a military virus that I believe we learned later on in the film was like it was designed to destabilize a population, right?
Not this kind of population.
Right. It wasn't meant to be unleashed on American civilians, but you know.
It also isn't very destabilizing. That's the other part of this, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think
seems like it'd be harder to fight these people than it is easier. I don't know.
Well, I guess that's what they mean by destabilizing, like the whole town. It's like what happened here, right? When things get shut down and everything's quarantined and everything becomes uncertain, there's a destabilization there.
Yeah, but the destabilization is chaos. I would think that what they were trying to accomplish should be destabilizing in a sense of making it easier to take control of. I don't think this made it easier because human nature. But
yeah, I'm not sure because it seems like this virus, it kills you within like a 2 or 3 day window.
Hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like if you were going to unleash a virus like this on a foreign country as like an attack, it would work because essentially you don't have to have any soldiers or boots on the ground. The people
they'll just kill each other.
The people kill each other, and then the ones that don't just sort of die from the virus.
That's pretty fucking dark.
It's very dark. And I mean, this just there's, and I'm not going to put on the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory crap because I'm just not that guy. But there's so many people that are trying to make a case that the coronavirus was man-made, right?
Yeah.
That this was something that was manufactured in a lab because
there's those parallels.
Right.
That's what you're basically trying to say.
Yeah, I mean,
the government's trying to tell us what to do and take our freedoms.
I mean, and you know,
this was really taking your fucking freedoms. Let me tell you.
Oh, for sure.
This movie is taking your
it's
fucking
taking
freedoms.
your life, pretty much.
Yeah, all we said was wear a fucking mask and wash your hands, bitches.
Right.
Like, you want to be shuttled into a truck to be taken to a bed that you're strapped in because you had a fever?
Oh my god, yeah. It's kind of a no-name cast in this one, with the exception of Timothy Oliphant.
I feel like the wife is known for something else.
Yeah,
I can't think of what.
Radha Mitchell. She looked so familiar to me while we were watching the movie, but no, I do remember her now. She was in this movie Pitch Black with Vin Diesel.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, oh,
Terrible.
That's where I remember her from. I used to love Pitch Black. I bet you but again, I was in high school at the time. And let's face it, like, you know, when you're that age.
What's your taste then? You were watching like Transformers and were like, this is amazing.
And I was into professional wrestling. Like, it's like.
You were into like professional backyard wrestling.
Well, I was into wrestling so much that, yeah, me and my friends would like do our own wrestling shows
weird.
And stuff.
Mad Dog for the win.
Yeah. So he's like really the household name. I don't know if Radha Mitchell is like, you know, she did Silent Hill, which I've never seen. I was never a
that's
Silent
where I
Hill
remember
fan.
her from, is Silent Hill.
And
that makes sense to me.
And then she's also in that movie Man on Fire with Denzel Washington.
I never saw that, but I know that one. But Silent Hill, that's where I remember her face.
That's where you remember her from. So yeah, Timothy Oliphant's in this. He plays the sheriff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sheriff David. As much as I enjoy him as an actor, because I really do love him in everything he's in, he just does such a. This just felt like, and I don't know if it's just a thing like with cops with me lately, but I just find cops on screen to be just like so predictable and uninteresting. And like now looking back at this movie, like, you know, it came out 10 years ago. I'm like, yeah, this was like the leading man in movies not that long ago. Like, this is what everything was about. It was just like this straight-laced guy who was good looking, who had a position of authority, but it wasn't a big enough position of authority where he still had to like fight the good fight against the higher. And I'm like, this character has been done so many fucking times. Yeah.
We're over it.
So it's tough because I would venture to say like this is not a bad movie, but I don't know. I don't think it holds up. Do you think it holds up?
I mean, I wasn't like so invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, I'm watching it, but I wasn't like, there wasn't a point of that movie where I was really taken in. There was more distractions for me of like, what?
Yeah.
Why? That doesn't make sense. Why would this happen? And like a lot of disconnects in the sense of like, there was moments where the first few characters you saw who were infected never said a word, right?
Yeah.
And then you get that one scene towards the end and they're cognitive functioning, meaning like they know where they are and what they're doing, whereas everyone else to that point was like random, like just showing up somewhere, not speaking, not responding to interaction with non-sick people. That to me was such a break, because it's like, are you saying that these people are incapacitated and don't know what the fuck is going on and are just attacking? Or are you saying that it brings out violent tendencies in your rational thinking? So like, you know, you're mad at X person, you have this insatiable urge to go kill them, so you go there and do it. I feel like that's not clear. Yeah,
there is an inconsistency there. You're right. Like when we were watching it, we were trying to figure out, or you were saying like, I don't think he has the virus, even though he's acting weird, because he can still talk and he can function. But then I'm like, yeah, but there's no story reason why he would act this way.
Yeah, it's almost like maybe that was little Easter eggs of like, this is what it means to be infected, and you slowly get overtaken. But everything leading up to that point made it more like,
right.
snap
Well,
of
because the
finger.
first time we see it is at it's the baseball game. Which I find funny because it's like almost everybody's at this little league game. It's a little league baseball
But this was
game.
even what I said in this scene.
Yeah.
I was like, so this guy has a virus that makes him violent, and he was like, I need to go to the baseball field.
Because that's where everybody is. This is like a big event in the town. So he walks out into the outfield with a shotgun. And, you know, to your point, he is just sort of kind of blank, starey, just no emotion, just a dead face. Obviously, something seems off, and Sheriff David's like, you're drunk. Like, that was his first thought.
He's not even responding, though, so it's like, I don't know.
He's not responding. Yeah, so then he goes to pull the shotgun on the sheriff. And here's like my first thing where I was like, I don't like the choreography of this, right? Because the sheriff has a pistol holstered.
Yeah.
This guy, all he has to do is this and pull the trigger, and he's gonna get you before you can get him.
100%.
But no, they just do the Hollywood cowboy thing where, you know, the guy goes to pick up the shotgun, and just miraculously, this is like the fastest draw in the West. Sheriff David puts him down. So yeah, that's sort of our first, like you said, that's our first experience with the virus. So then we get this scene where this guy Bill, he burns his whole family alive in his house. Mm-hmm. By the time the police get there and Sheriff David is questioning him, he just starts whistling like a carefree tune.
So weird.
This scene actually was kind of unnerving for me. I don't like it. This kind of thing does bother me or strike a chord in me for some reason. And it's strange because I don't have a kid, but it's like, you know, I think about, you know, family members like who do have like, you know, a whole fam or friends who have like a family like that. And to think about like them doing something like that to their family, like locking them in the house and just burning them alive.
Fire? Yeah.
Holy shit. I mean, that's dark.
I mean, that's, yeah, no. It's tough to even, I'm sure it was tough to even just like have to be in the acting moment of that, of like, oh, here I am, just locking them in.
So matter of fact.
So matter of fact, like laying the gasoline down, striking the match. And it's just like you're thinking about this and you're like, fuck, man. That's how you know the shit is real.
So then this is what's interesting, and you and I were kind of laughing at it. And maybe this is why the movie doesn't hold up, is because we've actually experienced what the reality of a global pandemic is.
Yeah.
And the way that the military reacts to this is so beyond over the top compared to like how the military and the government actually responds to these things, because
they're like,
our government,
figure it out yourself, state by state.
They didn't, we didn't even get that at first. It was just like, it's no big deal, don't worry about it. We got it taken care of. It's a hoax or whatever, or it's not a big deal, right? Yeah. It's not as big of a deal as they're making. So our government, instead of doing something to this extreme measure, which is the military comes in and they rip through this town, right?
Yeah, they're like, we got to contain this into one fucking spot. Yeah,
they're pulling everybody out of their house immediately. They're porting them over to this quarantine zone and school buses. Everybody's, you know, in full crazy hazmat gear, armed to the teeth. I'm like, what a doom and gloom.
Helicopters galore.
Picture
Tanks.
Of, you know, what a government military quarantine would look like. And I'm like, none of that happened.
It's also just so violent. It's not so like violent. They're there to like help the people. They're literally throwing people to the ground and beating them.
Ripping children away from their mothers.
Just because the kid was being taken and the mother wasn't. Like, so then fuck it. Send the mother with the people, with the kid who's infected, if that's the case. Right. Send the kid with the mother. Like, and it's like so barbaric in that sense where it's just like, there's not even any like rhyme or reason. They're just like, oh, you have a temperature, you're going fucking this way, and then hell breaks loose.
Maybe this is why, you know, when the global pandemic like got to a point where it was like, all right, this is not going anywhere, like we're 5-6 months in, people were like starting to paint this picture of like the government and the crazies as like right around the corner. Like next week they're going to be pulling us from our houses and porting us over.
There's so many movies that depict this and make it
and
feel
people just
so
have
real.
that in their head, like that's the picture of reality in their brain because they've seen it in the movies before.
But I do think that it didn't help us that there were all the protests at the time.
Yeah.
And seeing again how equipped our fucking local police are.
Right.
let alone the level of bringing in the National Guard. Like in most cases, the police were just as equipped as the National Guard.
And
that makes people then think like, if this is what the police are doing, what's going to happen when they bring in the National Guard? What happens when the National Guard doesn't
just
work?
escalated in their mind to be something like this.
Right.
And if you think about, the world as we know it exists and how little it takes to set off outrage and chaos and destabilize a populace, takes very little these days. Think about if this happened, like in some small town, and we all had evidence of this, that our government went in and quarantined all these people and just basically killed them and wiped them off the face of the planet. Then at that point, there would be outrage. We would overthrow the government at that point.
Yeah, I mean, they basically just said all the people who are sick,
we can
this
kill
way,
our civilians.
all the people who don't appear to be sick, this way, and then we'll blow up the town.
Yeah.
That was the plan. But also at the same time, like, you have no idea that the people that you just shuffled out weren't already infected and just not showing.
So David, he loses his wife, Judy, in this whole exchange, right? Because she has an elevated temperature, which he's chalking up to the fact that she's pregnant. But because she has this elevated temperature, they rip her out into, away from him. He's going to now be transported somewhere else. And he's like, I can't get on this line and go. Like, she's in there. Like, I'm not just going to leave my wife.
Yeah.
So I think this leads to probably, it's the scene that I always remember most about the film, which is the doctor and the pitchfork.
That's like brutal as fuck.
It's very, very brutal.
Everyone is incapacitated, can't move, which I still was like, feeling some type of way about this setup. But
the harnesses you felt were inconsistent or too easy to get out of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when they finally like get to the point of the main character getting out, the wife, I think you see it a little bit better. But there's almost like these
the
wrist cuffs that go and connect the strap that's in the middle of you. But like, in all honesty, looking at the room, it doesn't look like they're all like that. And it honestly looks like I could just go
shimmy out of it. Yeah.
And like be out. Like, but maybe it's just the view because of how it was filmed. I don't know.
I kind of tend to agree with you in hindsight because, this guy, and again, he looks just like our guy from the baseball thing, right? He's just that dead face and just no emotion, no anything. And he has this pitchfork. And all of these patients that were brought in to, have all these tests and blood work run on them, they're all strapped to these gurneys, right? So they can't move. And now you have this guy who's crazy
just
violent.
Randomly picking people.
Is just randomly picking people and stabbing the pitchfork through them. And it is just...
Right through the bed.
It's
through
gruesome.
them, through the bed.
It's absolutely gruesome.
What?
And to think, like, you're in that room watching him slowly poke through and you're like, I'm going to die like this? Like, this is insane. Like, I was just in my house 4 hours ago. Now I'm strapped to this gurney where this fucking infected lunatic is going to destroy my insides with a pitchfork.
No thanks.
But this is my point, is like, as he's going through, it does feel like if I was in that scenario or you were, I would be wiggling like crazy to get out.
Oh, 100%. They're all just laying. They're not even attempting.
Right. Which leads me to believe that if they had, they would have been able to get out. And the director's just like, you can't shake because it's going to ruin. So you have to just lay still. Like, you're too terrified to move. Like, no.
I don't know. It feels crazy. And it also feels like again, like you treated these people like absolute criminal prisoners and they're just sick.
The scene with David and the doctor, it cracked me up because David goes into the room and there's a sheet over what looks like a dead body, but the guy's like kind of moving and making noises. So he's like, oh shit, somebody's under there. Like, it's not just a dead body with a sheet. He pulls the sheet off and the guy's mouth and eyes are sewn shut.
Oh, it's like burned in my brain because it looks so crazy. That was actually a pretty good makeup.
It's a great makeup. And the sheriff cuts his mouth free. And the first thing this guy says, behind you. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? You can't see anything.
Yes!
Your eyes are sewn shut. How do you know that somebody is behind him? Nobody caught this as being strange?
Only thing, like,
no.
Even if I did this.
No.
Even if I did this and it was like my eyes were sewn shut and I couldn't pull them any more than like a sliver.
Horrendous.
The odds of him seeing the person behind, slim.
It would never. So
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I'm like, can't you just, figure it out where the doctor makes a noise on his way in and that startles David and then you have the same swing.
Yeah,
just
something
make it
falls
practical.
over and he's like, shit.
And then, the way that the pitchfork scene ends, right? Because he's going after Judy ultimately now because he's about to, claim another one of his victims. And she yells out to him, no, stop.
Because it was her assistant.
Right. And she's like a young girl.
Yeah.
So she's like pleading for her life. They do this stupid cliche thing. The most annoying thing I've seen in movies, this is where the villain raises up his weapon really slowly to land like the final kill shot. And he's just about ready to do it. And somebody from off frame shoots him.
Yeah, and it's like, what? When did you get there? How did you get there?
It's always...
The place is on lockdown. You couldn't just fucking randomly show up.
The most convenient timing, this stuff.
This guy's like the best cop in the world.
And they don't do it once in this movie. They do it twice. And now they're going back to the house.
They also just left everybody else there.
They left she takes the assistant.
That's it. But I'm saying they left everybody else. They were like, fuck all y'all.
We don't
figure it out.
Yeah, no shot. So they decide they're going to go back to, David and Judy are going to go back to their house. They're going to grab some supplies and some things. And they're going to
get out of town.
They're going to get out.
This is the best.
So they get there and Judy goes up into the baby's room. Right, because she's pregnant, so they have the nursery all set up. It's like she wants to give it one last look over before they go.
Mm-hmm. This was where your bedroom was gonna be.
Yeah. So in the nursery is the wife of the guy who was shot at the baseball game by the sheriff. The wife and the son.
Well, you don't know the son at first. The scare is the mother standing in the corner, which is a horrifying view.
Yes. So they've gone crazy. They both have the virus.
Yes.
And they have motivation to seek revenge.
Which kind of makes sense because I remember when we first saw them at the funeral and I was like, damn, these people look like shit. And you were like...
But they look like real people, though.
The fact that was your response.
I mean, it's
like,
true.
Yes, they look like real people.
It's true.
But yes, I mean, it was like that. But at the end of the day, like, no, they were just sick. They were sick then because then you start to see that same drawn look with the deputy.
Yep. Well, he's a really skinny guy too.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard, but they were, as a makeup person,
I
could see the increased contouring to make his face look sunken and gray and all that.
So this is the most bizarre sequence in the film to me. It baffles me. So they go into the room and, now Judy's in there with the wife and the son. And somehow they magically tie her up to a chair in the room. We don't see this happen, right? Because it cuts down to David.
Like, where are the ropes?
Right? It cuts down to David. He's gathering some stuff, and then he starts hearing the sound like of music playing from a baby's toy. Mm-hmm. This is what triggers him to investigate upstairs.
The mobile.
Yes, the mobile. That's what he hears. So he's going to go upstairs and investigate the sound. Like, what is she doing up there? Is she playing with the mobile? Yeah. So this is what he hears. He doesn't hear any struggle. There's no struggle whatsoever.
She doesn't even scream.
No. When he gets up there, she's just now tied to a chair. This is the sequence. It's like shot of her looking over the baby crib with the bad guy lurking in the corner. Cut to David. Here's the mobile. Cut back upstairs. She's tied to a chair.
But again, like, even if the woman had come up behind her and grabbed the gag, right? And just gagged her right away. You're telling me that bitch wouldn't have been fighting? Like,
there's a struggle.
I would have been like,
there's no sound
right
of a struggle.
over.
There's
like
no
some instinct in you to be like, yo, someone's attacking me. Nothing.
So
it's upstairs. You would hear a scuffle.
I just don't get the point because you could just as easily write this scene where you cut down to David. He does hear the struggle upstairs. Yeah. And he goes up there
thinking she fell and got hurt or something.
And now he's in the room just like you need him to be. Maybe she passed out.
Maybe she was sick. Maybe she did have it. There's so many things you could have done there.
Yeah, no. It makes sense to have the struggle be the thing that triggers him to go upstairs. And then when he just gets up there, like they knock her out or something. So now she's incapacitated in the corner just the same as she would have been tied up. She's just knocked out now. Like this is such like easy writing. I don't know how you fuck this up.
Basic.
So now he does get attacked by the son when he enters the room, which is this is kind of a cool sequence, right? He gets the electrical wire wrapped around him, and then the woman stabs the knife through his hand into the floor.
Yeah.
But now it gets ruined because they do the thing where now she picks up his gun, and instead of just taking the gun, pointing it, and shooting it, and shooting Judy dead.
Long pause.
She does this long pause. She looks at it. She points the gun randomly and just fires into like a shot into the corner of the room for no reason.
Yeah, like why? What if that was the only bullet, you idiot?
So I'm like, all right, is this just like their attempt at suspense? Like, I don't understand. Like,
But
if somebody had a virus, they would just be acting.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just such unnecessary suspense. I don't want suspense in this scene.
yeah.
This scene is chaos.
It should be chaos. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Suspense is the moment that she was in the room and the camera panned and the woman was in the corner. That's your suspense moment. From there, I expect chaos.
Yeah.
Because these people are basically infected with chaos.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It should it should just be like a bang, bang, bang. Like it's a struggle. It's a fight.
Right. Once they're on,
I hate
those
these
people
like
are fucking
slowed
on.
down beats for no purpose.
I hate it too. Like, again, there's a time and place for it. You did it. It's over. Now give me chaos.
So then we get another cool thing though, like that gets interjected here, where it's like they do have good ideas. He pulls the knife up out of the floor, and then because the knife is sticking out through his hand, he just jabs the woman in the neck.
Palm smacks her with
and
the knife.
that's how he kills her. That's a great kill.
Those are the things in this, is like there is some good like bloody scenes.
Mm-hmm. But then again, it's ruined because the bad guy gets shot by the good guy off screen at the last second again.
Not even in the room, outside through the window, like a sniper with a shotgun.
Amazing. No, a rifle.
A rifle. Yeah. Either way.
Well, a rifle, it would make sense because you'd be accurate and deadly with that.
I mean, I guess, but like through the window and everything, I don't know. On an upward angle through the window, hitting the right person. Seems suspect to me.
It's fine. I just why is this how you have to close out the scenes where it's like, well, we can't have the main characters die yet, so let's just put a lame threat that they might
like
die.
They didn't think through the scene. They were just like, all right, she's gonna get tied up, the people are gonna be in the room and they're gonna get out, and they're like, all right, how are they gonna get out? I don't know. The guy's gonna be downstairs and shoot through the window, I guess. Because they're like, we didn't write him into this scene.
Because it's just we're lazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's lazy.
It is.
It's like we just want this, make it work, instead of this is the scene and it works.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this movie has like some cool set pieces, right? Like the car wash scene is kind of a cool set piece.
Yeah, you can't forget that one scene though where he's yelling at her and she's like, we gotta get off the highway. They're gonna see us.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Okay, what road?
Okay, what road? What road will they not see us on? Because tell me, and I will fucking go there. Yeah. What road? And it's
what
like,
magical road can they not see?
What magical road? Yeah, the fucking Rainbow Road, dude, okay? Yeah. Drive to the Rainbow Road. You're going to go down the road, going to drive up through here, make a left, turn down Luigi's fucking lake, and meet me at Toadstools.
Yeah, it's not easy to get out of this fucking place.
But like, it's
they got
just surveillance
so everywhere.
Moment. Yeah, there's helicopters. Yeah. There is no road they can't see. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And there's no cars on the road. So like, you're the only car driving. They have one car to watch. Yeah,
they escape in that Mack truck. And then as they're flying out of town, like the last two people alive in the town, basically, before they fucking nuke it. They like nuke this town. It's like it's a mushroom cloud bomb.
Yep, insane.
But I do kind of, this is kind of cool at the end where they crash the truck, right? Because all the aftershock from the bomb blows them over, and that's it. It's not drivable, so we have to walk into Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
They make it into Cedar Rapids, and now we get another one of these like satellite scanning shots that we get throughout the film, where it's supposed to like, I don't know, I
zero
guess
in on
it's like
the
mimicking
virus.
A spy drone to like keep track of everybody.
Everyone who lives in the town.
Yeah,
has been targeted.
This drone's like GPS picks up that somebody left the town, and it's these two people, and now it triggers this protocol again, this containment protocol. Now this time in Cedar Rapids, where hundreds of thousands of people live, not just thousands.
Dun, dun, dun.
So it suggests that you're on the brink of this global pandemic, end of the world scenario.
Yeah. Great.
I mean,
Fiend.
It does have. It's not the worst movie. It has some cool elements to it.
I could definitely think of worse.
When I could just think of so many quick, easy fixes to make the film better so easily, that's what kind of takes it down a bit because I'm like,
yeah,
you could have just put a little effort into some of this stuff.
I mean, it beats watching Leprechaun.
Yes. So then let's move on to this other movie. I've never seen or heard of this movie. I just came across this movie randomly called Mayhem from 2017.
Mayhem, chaos. Seems fitting.
And this one's directed by Long Island native Joe Lynch.
Ba-dum-bum. Close to home.
Yep. So hometown dude here, Joe Lynch. So the premise here is that there's a virus that breaks down a person's moral barriers, right? It allows them to act on their darkest impulses, otherwise known as your id.
Yep.
Which is, I don't know.
Psychology term.
Yeah. So an id is like, you might have like an urge while holding a knife to be like, I wonder what it would be like if I stabbed, my sister with this knife right now.
Oh my God.
But that's an id thought.
That's where your head went.
But that isn't. But that's an example of an id thought. Like
an id thought to me is like, what would happen if I punch this person in the face right now in the supermarket who's breathing down my neck?
Right.
That's my id. You went to stabbing my sister.
I mean, they get. I'm telling you, these things get really dark for some people. See, the one I have is, and I can't believe not everybody has this one. But when you're driving and you just see a pedestrian.
And you want to just hit
them?
And
you never would.
No, you're playing way too much GTA.
I'm telling you, this is one that is common, I feel.
No, I've never
You've
been
never
like,
had this thought.
If I just skirt my wheel to the right, I can mow grandma over.
It's not that you want to. It's just your mind explores the thought of doing it.
I will admit to many fucked up things in my brain. That is not one that I've experienced.
So what's interesting is like, and I totally believe you actually, because they do sort of demonstrate that in this movie.
Yeah.
Because we now have, this one's a little more contained and we get a lot more of the chaos, which I think we wanted in the Crazies that was missing.
Yeah.
This movie really goes for it.
The chaos is everywhere in this movie.
The chaos is everywhere.
Doesn't go away.
But there are different levels of chaos, right? It goes from somebody acts on their id and it's like, I'm going to just start stabbing people, to some people are just having sex in the background. Like that's their id impulse. It's like, what if I just had sex with you at work right now?
But then what I love about it is like the people just sitting in their offices and like still working like normal while the fucking building is in complete disarray. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that's just it. This virus that makes you, act on these impulses or become violent. It spreads throughout this large corporate office building. And this causes authorities to they come and quarantine the building right away. Like they're like, you guys can't leave for, 48 hours or something like that? I don't remember. No, 8 hours.
It was just an 8-hour day. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how quickly we just get contained inside this building. And I always love, I like when horror movies do this, especially when you get like these containment pods, these one note set pieces like this, where it's just like, yeah, this is where we're going to be. Like, this is what it is. Like,
what's that phone booth? The college.
That's like an extreme version of that. Yeah. There's extreme versions for sure. But like, there is always something about like, I don't know, these movies that just take place in a house, right? Like that's what's kind of cool about The Strangers is so most of that movie, you're just in that house.
It's just the property.
In and outside the house. So this is just another version of that, right? Mm-hmm. So our main protagonists are Derek Cho, played by Stephen Yeun. I can't say this guy's name. Glenn from Walking Dead. And then Melanie Cross is his counterpart, Samara Weaving from Ready or Not also, right? So she's becoming like kind of a little horror scream queen. Yeah. Really, really enjoy both of them in this movie. They have amazing chemistry, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good pairing. Mm-hmm. And Glenn Savage. I'm just going to call him Glenn.
You're just going to call him Glenn? His name is Derek in the movie.
Oh, it's Glenn. Like, once you've played a character like that, that's who you are. It's hard to walk away from it.
I kind of
is Johnny Depp not Jack Sparrow?
Not true. No, you get typecast.
Yeah, that's who you are. Is Brad Pitt not the guy in Fight Club?
Oh, he's Brad Pitt.
Fair enough, but still, you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. So I like what they do here because like they kind of set it up as almost like it, the bad guys, they all have these nicknames, right? Mm-hmm. So there's just the boss, right? John Towers is the boss. Then there's Kara, the siren. The siren. And then they have the guy who, what's the other guy? Oh, the Reaper. Yep. Lester the Reaper McGill, the guy who fires everyone.
Yep.
So they have to go against the boss, the siren, and the Reaper.
It's like a video game.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I just love that little touch where they just gave these like characters who were supposed to be the villains like these.
They
cool
don't even care
nicknames.
about you. You don't even get a real fucking name. You just get your asshole name.
So it's great because like the timing of this is the virus hits and he had just gotten fired, right? They fire him on this day. So he has all this motivation to
fuck shit
now.
up.
He's like, well, you know, this virus, nobody can be held liable for what you do when you're under the influence of this virus. Like you can't be held accountable for your violent actions. You had no control. It was, you know, that's what the law says. So it's a perfect opportunity for him to go like, or anybody really, like imagine this scenario. You just got fired and you really hate your boss and you hate the little underlings that like kiss his ass and like do all his bidding for him. And now you have this opportunity all of a sudden to go upstairs and just murder him and nothing will happen.
I still don't know if I've ever had the desire to murder, but maybe I have. I don't know.
I mean, it's an interesting character study, right? Because we assume that given a situation like this where you're given like a get out of jail free card, right? There's nothing that you can't do that, you know, that would ever warrant you going to jail for the rest of your life and having an extreme consequence for the next 8 hours. You can do this. It's like the purge.
It is the purge,
right?
Yeah. The purge in a different way, but yeah.
But it's interesting, like there are people, like if you take the purge as an example, who no, they don't take the opportunity. They just say, this is crazy.
No, I'm barricading myself in. Y'all are fucking nuts.
Exactly. They're just like, I don't have any desire to go like murder people. Like that's not something I need to get off my chest.
Yeah.
And then there are people that are like, this is the best night ever. Like,
but there are people who I'm sure have the desire, but are like, yeah, but I can also be killed. So, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, that's where the ego comes in, right? It's like usually people that would have that kind of desire are probably overly narcissistic. They probably have big egos and they feel like I'm the hunter. I'm not the hunted.
I feel like if I lived
foolishly so, but
in a purge situation, like I feel like if the purge was a thing, I would probably spend a good portion of my life becoming like a superhero. Like I would be like, all right, we're going to become a black belt. I'm going to be jujitsu. I'm going to be able to shoot guns. Probably going to throw Chinese stars, maybe.
Oh my God.
You know, be able to yield a chainsaw of some kind, you know, really get well-rounded.
Yeah, so you're not even strictly a ninja. You're like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I just like I feel like I need a good bag of tricks if I'm going to survive, especially if people are going to try and come into my house.
I mean, you could just heavily arm yourself and skip all that.
Yeah, but I feel like I need to be like well trained in it because you're combining adrenaline with a chaotic mindset.
Doesn't hurt to be fit. The survival of the fittest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm like,
that's for a reason.
If I lived in a life where purge was a thing, I would be Black Widow.
Yeah, that'd be hot. So this movie's just like, it's a lot of senseless, like violent fun overall. It's like lots of crazy over the top stuff. And I don't know. It's even like they even have these like moments of humor in there, right? Where I think there's a scene where they reference Half Baked.
Oh,
where you just hear somebody in the background is like, fuck you,
fuck you, you're cool. And I was like, oh shit.
I'm like, wow, that was like an interesting little thing to drop into this movie. I also love like
I wonder what the reason is. There's got to be a story to why they did that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then
that we're missing.
I love the character moment too between Derek and Samara Weaving's character. I forgot her name. Where there are, because she's like into death metal. Yeah, right? She's like super into it, and she's like this skinny little, good-looking blonde girl. You would never suspect she'd be into death metal, but she wears like the shirts and everything.
That's like me. I listen to that. Well, I guess not death metal.
She listens to some hardcore stuff.
I'm not that crazy, I guess.
And they have this back and forth. She's making fun of him for liking Dave Matthews Band.
Which is why I really will rate this movie high. Because, agreed. Yeah. A garbage band.
Which is hilarious. Because I love Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, and I have to have this conversation all the time that when we're in the car, you don't play Dave Matthews, I won't play Christina Aguilera.
Right.
And it's that simple. But you break that rule all the time.
Not all the time.
All the time.
From time to time.
most times.
But I did find it funny because like her whole shtick here and her whole dialogue with him is like the exact same things that you say to me about Dave Matthews Band. And then the stuff that he says to her is like the exact same argument that I always present. It's like, did you ever see them live? Right? You can't just go by off the stupid bullshit singles you heard on the radio. It's
worse because it just is them playing the same songs I already hate for longer.
Oh my God.
It's a world where the Dave Matthews songs don't end. And that is 110% worse. I don't need to see them. I know that that's my nightmare.
I just find it hilarious. Like this scene will always be, it just reminds me of us.
Yes.
You know?
I remember going,
yeah.
Just like that.
Apparently that wasn't even in the original script either.
I'm so glad it was in it.
I wonder, and speaking of, there's another scene in this that happens shortly after this, like, and it's a pretty cool scene. They're like outnumbered. They get to like the next floor, like after they kill the Reaper guy, they get his key card and they go upstairs.
Yeah.
And now they're going after the Siren, but they're outnumbered like 2 against 5. And he gives like this whole spiel before he like gets ready to kill them. He's like super confident. Like it's just him and her. But he's like, we got this. I don't care if there's 5 of them. We're going to kill them. And he's like, put on track 3. Right. So he's like going to put a fight song on in the back for them to fight. So I'm like, wow, this guy doesn't give a fuck. Like he's badass. But I feel like they missed the boat here because this was an opportunity. There is one Dave Matthews song I think that they could have, but they could have used it for this scene, and I think it would have worked well. And it would have been like a cool like gotcha to her. Yeah. There's a song called Halloween, and that by Dave Matthews Band. It's not a popular song.
Yeah, I'm really mad that they scarred it.
No. But it's one that like when they play it, it's like super like aggressive in your face, like he's screaming in the song rather than singing. Ugh. So it's like the last thing you'd expect from a Dave Matthews song to sound like this. So if he had played that while they were doing the fight, and it's like a really energetic, upbeat, like kind of in your face aggressive song, it kind of would have been just a funny gotcha to her, I thought. But instead they just play like this nondescript song.
But I feel like they had to because like you're saying it's a song that nobody would know. Right? So you had to have like had it be recognizable.
You would be able
song.
to tell that it's him.
Yeah, because his voice is annoying as fuck. And I don't know what's worse, listening to him sing normal or then having to hear him scream sing. Again, more nightmares for me. This movie really checked some boxes.
I'm just saying. I think that would have been. I should recut that scene with Halloween playing in the background and see what it sounds like. I think I might do that.
We might just throw it on
a thought experiment.
We'll do it on our stories of like what the scene is and what it should have been.
What it should have been, or maybe my idea is terrible and it just sounds better in my head.
Yeah, and then
when you actually you actually put it together, you're like, you know what, I was wrong.
We can let the people vote.
True.
Let the fans vote.
Yeah, but this is cool. It's just like it just continues to follow. Like they just keep going up more levels to kill the next boss.
But I like that. I like that. It's like a game.
It is like a game,
like a video game thing.
Mm-hmm. All in all, I was just really into this movie. I like
the way that it was set up. I like the structure of it. It had that. I think this is right? It was the Sin City vibe when I was like... Oh,
there's a couple like,
the opening
black
scenes.
And white stuff.
It's also just the way they cut it, right? Like the way the scenes were shot. And I was like, it has that like Sin City comic booky feel.
I kind of wish they went more over the top with their injuries because as they go through these levels of the building, which is like levels in a game... They should
get more savage.
Well, they do get like... They start like getting stabbed. Like they get like serious injuries and like... really brutal beat. Like he gets smashed in the face multiple times and like this guy's whole shit would be swollen. Yeah. Which would have kind of been cool to see him at like the top floor, like completely beaten down.
I mean, he was pretty beat up, but not enough for what he went through.
Yeah. He was way too superhuman. Yeah. Is the problem. But
maybe the virus.
I'll forgive it for the enjoyment, just like the pure enjoyment of the film, because it's not really... I don't feel like this movie is taking itself too seriously. It kind of knows what it is and what it wants to be.
But that's what makes it good. It's like it's knowing that line. It's what Chucky did, right? When Chucky started to get bad. Yep. They were like, okay, we got to redo this, right? And they just went with what it was.
What it was.
A murderous fucking doll, okay? And you didn't try to make it serious. The first one works. It feels serious, but it worked. Started to go downhill, and then they just owned it. Yeah. So like now it's a great... iconic cult classic Yeah, the rebrand is now a huge cult classic. It's the same thing here. It's like they didn't try to make an Oscar award-winning horror movie.
Right.
They just tried to make
it was enjoyable. Yeah.
a good horror movie.
Let's just have fun.
This is why we don't give awards for art.
Don't think about it too much. All right, so let's go to our final segment here, head to head, and we'll be selecting our favorite scary masks. These are the best horror masks.
This is going to be tough for me.
So I've decided to include as potentials, and let's see if you agree. You know, I'm kind of counting Freddy Krueger as an option here. He doesn't technically wear a mask, but like the face is that's his presence. That's his mask.
All right, that's fair enough.
Same thing with like Pennywise, right? You know, it's like he's kind of a monstrous clown. That is kind of his mask.
So it's not. So we're using mask as a visage or an apparatus.
Kind of. I guess it's just the visage. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, you know, I just wanted to expand it out to those guys because I just felt like they don't wear a physical mask, but their face in and of itself is the mask.
I thought you were going to put pictures in here for me, but clearly not.
Oh, well, you can feel free to look it up.
All right, fine.
If
I might,
get
because
stuck.
I might need to compare and contrast.
I'm not going to waste too much time on my first pick here. I think you know exactly where I'm going.
Yep.
It's Michael Myers from Halloween.
It's like, and I'm going to be done.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, he's really not regarded, I don't find, to be the most scary slasher. Most people have one other guy above him.
Yep.
So I assume that would be your pick, but I don't know. I'm going with Michael Myers, though. That's my
you
guy.
have to take that one out the gate.
I mean, there's just that face. And I should be specific here. This is the 1978 Halloween Michael Myers mask. Because you actually mentioned this last time that they do sort of kind of change and evolve his mask a bit as time goes on.
Yeah, and it's like...
I still think the first one in that light, that blue lighting, is just, that's primo scare factor.
Yeah. I think it's pretty easy for me. Mm-hmm. My first one is Leatherface.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people will be on your side.
These are the first two because, like, is there something... Like, Mike Myers' mask is terrifying. Yes. Mm-hmm. But it's terrifying because we know the movie. If you side-by-sided Mike Myers and Leatherface and someone didn't know who they were, my mindset is Leatherface is more terrifying because he's wearing someone else's fucking face. Right. Like, there's the scene in the newer one where it's straight up the girl's boyfriend's face. Just the whole ass face. But either way... But
isn't that just...
Probably top terrifying.
Yeah, the boyfriend's faces. Yeah, the boyfriend's face.
Well, I mean, just someone wearing someone's face. Yeah. So that's going to be number one for me.
All right. Yeah. I mean, there's something about that Leatherface mask that I don't really rank that high. I understand he's a scary character. Yeah. But there's something also kind of goofy or like Sloth from Goonies kind of vibe.
You're just trying to downplay the fact that it's way scarier to have a fucking mask of somebody's skin than it is to have William Shatner with a bad hairdo, basically. That's the difference here.
Well, yeah, and the fact that there's no skin tone, it's just completely ghost white. I don't know. There's something about it I find very scary.
What a bizarre mask. It is terrifying. I'm not disagreeing. Yeah. I just think wearing someone's skin up there.
So... You know, I don't know. Leatherface probably would have been my second pick. But I don't know. I just have such a soft spot for Pennywise.
You bitch.
You know, and the fact that he can sort of shapeshift his mask, his face to be like whatever he wants it to be, like that, just the unhinging of the jaw and just all the different kind of form factors with that. I don't know. He's probably the second most terrifying to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pissed that you took that.
I got the shirt on, too. I was anticipating possibly taking it.
Because you made the list. I'm trying to look at one to see.
And for sure, I'm going with modern day Pennywise. I'm not going with that fucking made-for-TV bullshit Pennywise.
I know. The made-for-TV one is like circus makeup. It's not... Yeah. It's not as scary. Okay. I have a lot of opinions right now, but
I mean, one of your faves is there. A couple of your faves.
I know, but I have to really just think to myself of like what's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go pig mask saw. And this is because no matter what, I find the pig masks to be horrifying.
Yeah.
And one of my worst memories is going to the Universal Studios Horror Nights.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is the one in California, which is like
legit.
Pretty legit, yeah. I mean, the Florida one is amazing, but obviously you get the real Hollywood makeups and stuff. Anyway, I was walking, minding my business. I don't know what it is about me, but these fucking people always know that I'm terrified. And I got chased by a man with a pig mask and a chainsaw. And he chased me all through the park, all the way into a restaurant. And I sat in a corner, like, freaking the fuck out from the chainsaw.
I see a correlation between your first two picks, the chainsaw.
Well, the pig mask in Saw is no chainsaw situation there.
I don't remember. There might have been at some point, because to your point, for some reason they do often pair the pig mask with
slaughterhouse.
with a chainsaw.
It's a slaughterhouse.
Those things typically do go together.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they had a hint at it in Saw that was.
Yep.
Especially because the movie's called Saw. Give them a chainsaw.
Yeah, or a saw.
All right. Let's see here.
This is tough.
Now I got to go for my third pick here. Now the sack mask in the orphanage.
That's pretty.
I have to say, it's an out there pick, but I kept coming back to this thing today. I'm like, there's something about, it's like this little kid with a sack on his face that has like clown makeup drawn on. It's just really unsettling. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I really like it. It's just, I don't know if that's going to be the pick. Because I feel like maybe it's too obscure. But in my mind, that's the one that keeps burning. As like, that one's pretty fucking scary.
You're going with an obscure option, I think.
Yeah,
it's not obscure, but
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say the sack mask from the orphanage. That one, for some reason, just sticks out to me as like, it's almost like, you remember that Trick or Treat movie, the Sam character with the burlap? It reminds me of like a human version of that.
Yeah,
it's scary.
It is pretty scary, because I'm gonna counter that one with the strangers.
I knew that.
So, I mean, I think you only have this as the group on this list, but I'm supposed to pick one of them, right?
No, you get the strangers
all three?
masks.
Great, because that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, was just how good each one was in a different way.
Yeah.
And that lineup of the three is terrifying to me. Like, again, because they're such basic masks, it's not like there was a lot of thought. It was like, I went to the Halloween store and I'm going to take this one, this one, and this one. But completely covered, no idea who's behind it.
And then that one guy does have a bag mask.
He has the bag mask. That's what I was going to say. I was like, I get to counter it because now I have the burlap.
Yeah.
A burlap mask like that is pretty damn terrifying.
Yeah. No, they
just
always...
holes.
We have another example of that too in that Your Next movie with the animal masks.
Yeah.
There's the lamb, the tiger, and the fox. You know, not as effective, I don't think, as the strangers ones are. I don't know. There's something, the animal masks are scary. I get the concept, but I don't know. There's something about the strangers ones that the simplicity of the mask, Bunny? I feel like, is what.
My bunny mask was horrifying.
But maybe that's it. It's like the more simple the mask, I feel like the scarier it is.
Yeah, the bunny mask I had made was more about exaggerated features because I did the big ears and I only did the half. But that mask was terrifying. R.I.P. Bunny mask.
All right. And then what am I going to do? So now there's the mess and the purge too, man. Those always stick out to me. There's the grinning mask. So I feel like that's one set of masks that you can take from the purge. Like, it's the two like big grinning faces with the huge jaws, like the over exaggerated features. And then there's the one that's just plain and it just says God on it. Those freaking masks are always stick out to me as being pretty scary.
But there's just so many good ones, but you're talking the first purge. We have to be very specific here. The first purge.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's gonna be my pick. It just, again, those stick out to me as like they're worth mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I was like, a fucking photo really would help pick, but
yeah,
that's what I'm looking for right now. Is just like,
yeah. I mean, then there's like goofy ones here, right? Like Pinhead. Like, I don't know.
I don't know what it is about Hellraiser that people are so scared about, but I guess I just don't get the sci-fi horror. It's not my thing.
So is this my last pick? Yeah, I have Mike Myers, I have Pennywise, and I have Sack Mask. You know what? I'm just going to turn around. I'm going to go straight up classic here. It's Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th. That's my last pick. It's just... It's still terrifying. It's just too iconic to not be among the scariest
because
masks.
Like, think about being on the streets of Halloween, and if some kid is walking around with that mask, it's terrifying.
It's scary, yeah.
It's not. You're
well,
not
especially
just like,
the way I picture it on him. Like, I picture it like molded into that bloated zombie face.
Right, like it's like he grew up and the mask doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's something about it's just, like I said, it's too iconic to not be included on a scariest masks list or best horror masks list.
All right, I'm gonna go with an obscure pick. I'm going with the cleaning lady.
Really? The Alice paper mache mask. Yeah. That's a great one.
Because just of how it was made and just how terrifying the character is, I still think those are the types of things that are the scariest. It's like the super homemade looking things or the really like somewhat basic.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Jason. There's not a lot to it. It's just a hockey mask that like
that's what it
twisted.
Is. The simpler the mask, I feel like the
you can easily find this, and then that's terrifying because like anyone has it.
You know what I should do for the voting on this one? I should put together like a little slideshow thing that actually shows the visuals of the masks. Yeah,
we need to be like.
I'll have to figure out the best way to display that. Yeah,
and then do boop boop boop. Yeah, we need to definitely have the visual because I think you need to see these four faces.
Yeah,
side by side.
All right, so I have Michael Myers from Halloween. I have Pennywise from It. I have the Sack Mask from The Orphanage and the Jason Voorhees mask from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I'm so pissed you took two of mine. Well, three, I think. Three that I would have taken. So I had to make do. And with that, I have, and I forgot, Leatherface,
yes.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the pig mask from Saw. I got my animal in there. The Strangers masks, because everyone who listens to this podcast is tired of hearing me talk about how much I love the Strangers, I'm sure. And then a obscure one that I think more should know about, the Alice paper mache mask from The Cleaning Lady.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, we'll see if I can tie it up.
I think he can do it. Can make some digital art and sell it, maybe.
Yeah, we'll make an NFT.
A little crypto art
of the podcast. All right. Until next time, thanks for listening, guys. Take it easy. And remember,
we don't give awards for art.